Welcome back to Dune, ladies and gentlemen. I got a bunch of items for you, which are made out of Dualiminium or below, and are partially better or on par with their Plastanium equivalent versions. Number one, and already the most important one, your boots. And here we're talking about the soft step boots that give you minus 45% warm threat. Mine are made out of Dualiminium, and they're actually available in iron already, steel, aluminium itself. Now you're gonna say, Pony, minus 45% warm threat doesn't do anything. Let me show you. We'll put the boots off and I'll move out in the sand. The warm threat appears and we're gonna start running, full tilt down the line. Minus 45% warm threat means you can spend more time in the sand walking around gathering flower dust or spice, because you're going to do compactor, compactor, step, 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 compactor, compactor, step, compactor, step. And by having less warm aggro, you can do more of that. Now, without any boots on, we can already move a little bit. That's nice. I mean, I'm right almost about, oops, there they are. Let me get my vehicle out really quick. I'm not getting eaten. That would be not so good for the experiment. And now let's do the same with the soft step boots on. Back on with the boots, moving out in the sand until the warm thread appears. And now we're gonna try to cross all the way over. We obviously just aggravated a worm in the vicinity, so if we're unlucky, we're gonna trigger them right away. But as you notice already here, like the bar is barely popping up and we can just go through. Where do you get those soft step boots now? And that's where it gets a bit, not complicated, but every research station can have them, and also the crashed ships can have them. I got my tier 6 ones from a crashed ship in the deep desert. I got my tier 5 ones from a research station in the aero of the deep desert. Now, like, you can pretty much see how we're not having any kind of warm aggro. I'm just going to be doing some laps here on the flower sand, maybe 2 or 3. So any testing station in the game of any level can actually have those soft step boots, which makes these testing stations so, oh, there finally is the worm. That has taken quite a while. You notice, minus 45% warm threat is goddamn efficient. Off to number 2, radiation. We got the MK5 suit and the MK4. Radiation gets extremely important as you want to make Dualiminium gear, and we got to move our way into the shale. And shale, everything is radiation. So we'll slowly build that up, and then we'll inevitably die if we don't actually have a radiation suit. Now, a normal aluminium one, a Mark IV, is giving you 90% radiation resistance. Amazing. That's great. And then you get the Mark V suit, which only has 2% more. Is that even something you should make as your first Dualiminium item as soon as you have that yasmium gathered? Now, with my Mark IV suit equipped and without any kind of radiation pills, I can spend enough time in the radiation area to gather 800 to 900 yasmium. That's already very good and efficient. And what I mostly do is I hover on the outside for that. I highly recommend that when you're moving into this area to farm the side, because the side you can drop in, out, in, out, in, out, and it helps super much with the radiation gathering, because even if you gather up radiation up to 80-90%, it's just a few flying meters outside of it. Now that being said, there's more though to discover here. There in the middle is Mark V loot, then you got a cave right behind this with even more Mark V loot. We do actually have a video on this. Our radiation buildup is okay-ish. We're fine with this. Thing about the Mark V suit is, in comparison to the Mark IV, you might only get 2% more, but it's also the last 10% anyways. So we're safe from 90. That means the 10% is the actual radiation that hurts us, and you can still shave off 1/5 of that right away. Now, since radiation builds up a little less fast than the worm threat, it will kind of take long to show you for this video. So let me simply tell you that this Mark V suit allows me in one go, instead of gathering 900 before I have to dash out, to almost gather twice that amount, even though it's only 2% more radiation resistance. Highly recommend finding one in the deep desert or making this your very first item you make with Dualiminium, so you can mouse up on it and move over into the spice era. Now, we already made it all the way out of here in the shale. Let's go a little bit up to the Udum, because there's something amazing waiting for you right here. Not at the House of Ilm, there is on top another cool location called the Sandstab Village. What are we looking for there? Technically, the pinnacle of all Cutterays is the MK6 Cutteray, which will give you the most amount of titanium, stravidium, all the resources pretty much. The problem being I need 27 spice melange to make it, and I also need to build an advanced survival fabricator for 45 spice melange to actually make that MK6 Cutteray. Now what if I tell you that there's a Mark V Cutteray out of Dualiminium that you can actually find in the Haga Basin called the Tarl Cutteray? That one allows you to gather stravidium and titanium on the same level as the Mark VI one. God damn. Now I've personally been very unlucky, but here are my marker at the location called the Sandstab Village, all the way on the tippity toppy. You can yeet yourself down, land on the tarp, then jump over to the rocks, and there will be a blueprint chest. Now we're gonna make sure that Jeremiah and Timothy don't disturb us. And this chest has a great chance of the tall Cutteray. Again, unlucky for me, but at least the insulated fabric that I need anyways. Over 10 people out of my community have gotten it right here. What I can recommend is, and what I'm actually going to do while recording videos, I will log out here. And then 45 minutes later, this chest will respawn. So I'll log in 45 minutes later, and then I loot it again. Then I'll log out, keep cutting my videos, log back, and loot it again. Because I want that Cutteray. I cannot make the one out of Spice Melange yet. And, well, I have to do some stuff as a creator, as you probably do. So farming a box like this is very simple. Especially since it's a PvE area, so it will definitely replenish every 45 minutes. And no one can loot it away from me. Now, we talked about your Cutteray, but there's another thing on top that I haven't gotten yet. I'm using an industrial static compactor. That's the Mark V Dualiminium one, has a gather rate medium and a warm attraction intensity high. That's shit. Especially since in the deep desert, in the A row, at any of the research station you have in the A row, you could get this compactor called the Compact Compactor Mark V. It has a gather rate high, more spice, more flower scent, and also the worm attraction intensity is only medium instead of high. And again, the same farm trick as we do here with this chest to get our stuff. You could move yourself into a testing station, loot the chest, log out, log in, log out, log in, log out, log in. Every 45 minutes, get yourself that big loot. And now the final, most important item you absolutely forgot to make to this point, and you need to make right away. And that's your welding torch Mark V. I don't want to hear it. You make this right now if you haven't, because I forgot until, well, being very deep into the Dualiminium tier. Why do you want this? It says repair quality 90%. Well, the Mark III welding torch only has an 83% repair quality, which means if you go to your Thopter with the MK5 in repair, there's basically going to be no decay. I mean, these MK5 wings, these are my first sets. I haven't actually gotten a new one of those. Also, I'm currently using an engine and a generator, Mark V. Both of them found in a testing station. They were half durability. They are still half durability because we keep repairing them this efficient with the Mark V tool. Hell, if you don't have the Mark V, you make this right now, okay? After your radiation suit, this might be the second item you have to make right away. Ladies and gentlemen, any other cool things that you've found that you'd like to share with the community, put that in the comments below. Looking now for your deep desert base, or in general, how to thrive in the deep desert solo. Enjoy. Have a fantastic good day.